Good evening, Professor.
Good evening.
You are someone who needs no introduction at Motown, as we call the Mohali campus. And I'm sure you must be feeling like a celebrity today.
So it's all you, but thank you so much. I am actually, which is amazing.
I mean, you have taught 4 hours today. You've taken 2 hours of review classes, and then you've been in the auditorium for a farewell session. So I'm not gonna put you through any more rapid fire questions. This interview would mostly be on more like philosophical questions or more like questions that you can take your time with answering.
Wonderful.
So I'll just start with a confession. I have never put on a suit since I've been on campus, but I have put on the suit today.
It looks very good on you.
I mean, thank you, but it's for the appreciation that I hold for your dressing sense. And that's the first question that we received from our audiences, which was, what is the motivation behind wearing a 3-piece suit in 45-degree weather?
So my view is, so let's take a moment and think about it, right? Why do we dress up for an interview? It doesn't change what you know, but it's more of a signal that I'm serious about it. So it's a signaling device, in my opinion. So I typically dress up for teaching always, which is to show that, yes, I'm committed, I'm completely here, and I want you to be here as well. So it's a signaling device more than anything.
By that logic, Professor, most of the people in our class are signaling that they are not really serious.
No, I'm not. So remember, you need to think about what is a signaling device. It need not be dressing. It could be showing up on time. Could be you're prepared. You're ready to participate. You have to figure out what your psyche requires you to have that signaling device.
Yes.
And for me, like the same way like people dress up in uniform, it's more about like I am committed. So this is in some form my commitment to myself and to the audience that I'm completely here.
Yes. Professor, I have a lot of questions. Some are personal, some are professional. So I'll rather begin with the personal ones.
Sure.
So that we can get to know more about you.
Absolutely.
So I know that you have completed your engineering from Delhi, and I think you were in Delhi before that.
Yes. So I grew up in Delhi. I did all my schooling from Delhi, and then I went to IIT Delhi. And then I went to Stanford.
So people are asking that you have said in class that you love Delhi people. So what do you love the most about Delhi people specifically?
Oh, Delhi has this, like I would say, a good combination of like a variety of things which come together. Definitely there is that, I would say it's more of like the nook chonk, but at the same time, like there is space but not full space, kind of that weird combination.
Yes.
That's what I love about Delhi.
I mean, compared to where you come from, like what life that you lead right now outside India, it's definitely less space in Delhi.
Yes, exactly. So that's what. So I think I want the space, but at the same time, you don't want the space. So it's a combination of the two which happens in Delhi,
yes,
which is a fun thing to look at.
Yes.
And as a kid, I really enjoyed it. Because remember that in that case, it's more about like you're just observing because you're not part of that.
Yes.
Which is what I really.
So as a kid or like throughout the time that you spend in Delhi, is there a place that you have hold like in a special memory or something that you really associate with?
Sure. So I can tell you Delhi has changed a lot. Means in the sense that, so I grew up in Karol Bagh. That's where my parents' house is. And Connaught Place used to be a place because we did our schooling also. I went to Ramjas for my high school. So Connaught Place would be something that we would typically be the place where the group of students which we will meet even when we went to college. So Connaught Place used to be the place which will be our hangout space, you might call it. And I still wonder, because I'm talking now about so we graduated from school in 96.
Yeah, I was about 2 years then.
Exactly. I knew this was going to come. It will make me sound really old, but that's okay. But I'm just saying, like, imagine an era where you decide you're going to meet. There are no phones. Means no cell phones.
Yes.
And we somehow magically will happen to be still at the same spot in CP. I cannot even imagine now.
Yes.
Both because like there'll be too much crowd, and you are like, even when we are there, we're calling each other to wave hands to figure out where you are.
Yes.
So CP is some place like I really enjoyed. That will be one. The other is, I think if anyone has grown up in Delhi, the path between India Gate and Rashtrapati Bhavan.
Yeah, the Rajpath.
The Rajpath,
Yes.
exactly. In the summer evenings
Yes.
would be like another place which I like really, really close to my
The
heart.
tea there is actually quite good. If you go in the evenings, the local resellers of tea, they have actually great tea
Exactly.
there.
The tea, the kulfis in the summer. They used to have boating.
Yes.
So those are like really, and I can tell you, means the reason I'm saying that it has changed a lot is like, it was not as crowded. I'm not
Yeah.
kidding. It was not as crowded as it is today. But today, like you try to step during that hours, it's like everyone is there.
Yeah.
So that was not the case. Even I was saying 20 years back. So that has changed a lot in that sense. But like these three places are very close to my heart. Even Karol Bagh was
Yeah.
not that interesting.
Karol Bagh is really. I think I bought this suit from Karol Bagh, so
Wonderful.
I know. But how did you get into teaching, and more than that, through the years that you've taught, what has kept you going? What has been the source of your energy? Because we see in class you're quite committed. You stand up for 4 hours. You still have the same energy, and some of us, including myself, maybe ask you quite stupid questions, but you still, even after 4 years, you are quite calm in terms of addressing it. So what drives you? What drives the teaching?
Sure. So my teaching, so I can tell you, everyone has a teaching philosophy in terms of what they think, what are they trying to accomplish. So for me, teaching philosophy for me would be that I have a riddle in my mind, and you get the joy of asking the riddle, but remember, like you don't want to make the riddle where the other person give up,
Okay.
but you don't want the riddle to be so easy that it gets cracked in 30 seconds.
Yes.
So what do? You basically give the riddle, and you're slowly converging to, okay, let me give you some more hints, but I'm not going to give you the answer.
Yes.
And let's work on it together. And the kick that I get out of that whole thing is when, like, I get the smile, I get the nod, or sometimes I do hear that, oh, and that just makes my day. So that's what I'm fishing for.
Yes.
So you know how now given that we're on this side,
Yes.
you know how to make sure that I have a great day in the class.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people say, oh, that's what was happening.
Yes.
And those conversations are like really, really give me the kick that, okay, this was a good class because I delivered what I wanted.
I can assure you that even we as students say, oh, we are also getting the kick of understanding it finally. So it's a natural reaction. But I've noticed that you're quite a self-aware teacher. So when you're in class, you do not get, carried away by emotions, so to say. A lot of teachers might. I won't take any names here. But if someone nods when you ask a question and you know the person hasn't really understood, you make sure without pointing it out that you go over the whole thing again so they have understood. So in terms of that discipline, and we have a question from the audience that what is your mantra for patience, so to say. So how do you not give up when you know that, okay, this riddle is too difficult to solve, we are running out of time, people have more questions, but I still have to achieve my purpose?
So the way I do it is, I always believe in the following statement. You have to think about multiple alternatives, means that you have to give up on something for the other. You cannot have it all. Like, I truly, truly believe in this. Like, of course, I might want everything in life, but there are constraints,
Yes.
which means I have to make the trade-off, just like DMOP. Right? There are constraints, and you have to really think about what's your objective function. So I can have lots of objective functions. I can tell you, like, when I started, here was my objective function. I want to make sure I can say confidently I covered what was on the exam, and that's what I wanted to do. And I was not a great teacher, I can tell you that. Because my goal was, I'm going to come, I'm going to prepare very well, but it was more like a monologue because I'm delivering rather than the objective of you need to understand. So over time, what has evolved into is, Achal, you have to be very clear about it. Your job is not done until the audience is with you. And this is something that you need both as whenever you're giving a talk or you're trying to explain something. Just because you have said it doesn't mean that the other person has listened or understood.
That's quite fair, I'd say.
And that is where I think I try to make sure that if I'm getting an inkling that they haven't gotten it, whether because of like their facial expression is telling me, And remember, some of you have very good poker face. I cannot read
Yeah.
them. But some of you have telltales which you pick up on.
Yeah.
And it's important that I picked that. So thank you so much. I would say if you all had poker face, it would be very hard for me. But some of you have a telltale. And some of you when some of you know that I'm looking at them, which I call my barometers in the class,
Yeah.
which are the people I'm constantly scanning to figure out how the 70 of you are doing. And I have to say this, since I clearly remember, this is from Hyderabad campus. I had a student and that person was sitting right at the back seat, and she had this beautiful cute gesture I will remember. She will just do this, which basically means, can you please repeat what you said? And she just need to do that, and I would repeat because I know that's what she's asking for. And this became like, and she was at the back end, so I don't even know if anyone knew it or not, but I and her knew it exactly. She just need to do this, and I'll repeat what I said in the last 30 seconds because I know that's what she wants.
Yeah.
And she doesn't need to ask. There is no airtime lost. It was just a natural reaction.
Yeah, but I mean, I have had my share of poker faces in your class, and I have whenever like sometimes you ask for a vote, like someone will go for an option A and option B. I just don't vote because you pick up someone from team A and you're like, how do you justify your position? But as the classes went by, I became more and more comfortable with the fact that okay, I did not understand, we can go over it again.
Exactly. So this is my general advice, and of course this has come in the Gyan category. I saw that was just amazing and hilarious. I didn't realize all the things I have said, actually. I was just reflecting back on those. But this is very important because I think what happens is, and like kids are a great way, and I would say that I think I transformed more my teaching once I had kids because I got comfortable with, I would not say that, but like making other person uncomfortable so that they're comfortable in long run, right? Because what happens is many times is we don't understand something, but we feel shy or we feel whatever, there is some constraint, which whatever that constraint could be, of asking. But then what happens is we lose that opportunity and you cannot get back that opportunity.
Yes.
And I still remember one of my colleagues actually mentioned this when we joined. So we have a big department, which is, when I joined, it was called Managerial Economic Decision Sciences and Operations. So we had economists, operations, and all folks. And this person, like, I really enjoyed when he said this. He said, so like, I'm already like 2 months into the job, so I've shown up and everything. We are having lunch, and this person walks over and says, can you tell me your name? And he says, it's important that I ask you now, because if I don't, years will go by and then it'll be much more embarrassing if I ask you 2 years from now what's your name.
Yeah, I go through that every day on this campus, so you're right. Like if you just be upfront about...
Exactly. So you want to, and remember this is graceful on both sides because you don't want to do, so I did not get offended. I said this is absolutely fine because I am someone who would like to know people's name. And so I think it's like a two-way street where you make other person comfortable and you understand that that's what they're trying to do. So my big advice would be, as you go through the ISB journey, I think it's very important that the curiosity, the fact that it's okay to be wrong here, because the stakes are very low relative to what the stakes would be once you go out in the real world. So if you have a question, you have a doubt, asking it in the class is the best place. Of course, you will get some rolling eyes if you ask at 12:15 when the class is about to get over. But even then, I think making that effort, and that's engagement. That's exactly the engagement that the faculty needs to make sure that you're with them.
I just have one last question with respect to teaching, and that is, okay, so you get a kick out of when people solve the questions, you get a kick out of, passing on the knowledge and everything, but there must be something that's absolutely unconditionally annoying that comes with the job. It could be checking the papers, like 300 papers or whatever, or ensuring...
So I don't do those. So
no. I mean, you must have a system so that it's done in a fair way, right? So, absolutely. I mean, there might be something that bothers you or something that, gets to you about the job. So I'm just trying to get on if you have something like that.
So I would say what gets to me is when the student says they don't get it and they don't want to get it. So it's not they don't get it. I completely understand. We are all here. We are trying to understand it. But when the student gives up on it, then I'm like, no, you cannot do that to me. Because that's where the whole thing will get lost.
Yeah.
So I think I really need like that buy-in from the students that, I'm willing to emphasize why it is important. I'll bring that story. But even if you're not convinced, if you just give me some leeway, that's what I think I would definitely need.
So in a way, teaching is like a relationship. If one person gives up, the whole thing goes for a toss.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So the fun that we had over the 5 lecture was all of you was like your part was very, very important. And in fact, I would say that like people many times say this, and I tell my daughter this very specifically, because many people typically talk about that this is a good teacher and this is not a good teacher. I would say that it's a both-way street. There is a good student and there is not a good student. This is not about how good you are. It is that is the person who is teaching you interested in teaching you. And there are people who are great students not because they are very smart, but rather they have that curiosity. They create an environment, that relationship with the person that they're trying to learn from, whether it's a student, whether it's a kid, whether it's an adult, but they're so curious and they handle it so well that people naturally want to engage with them, and that engagement teaches them. So you will be at ISB for 1 year, but you will be a student for lifelong. So having that curiosity, having that engagement, having that curiosity why this is happening, having that, okay, let me create a space where we can interact and learn from each other would be very important.
Okay, I think, taking a small segue, so to say, we have a question from an audience which is "Tussi ja rahe ho," and I'm pretty sure they missed the second part, which is "Tussi na ja." So first question is, are you aware which movie this quote is from?
Absolutely.
I'm sure you are.
Yes. Give me just 1 second. I absolutely know the name of the movie. This is...
Since I'm like you and you like giving people hints, if you require, I can give you a couple.
No, I know the actor. It's Shah Rukh Khan.
Yes.
The Kajol was the actress.
Yes.
And there was a love triangle. And
yes.
So
there was also this kid who said this line at a summer camp.
This is Sardarji saying it. So I completely, and he's counting these, and I'm counting stars.
Oh, he also counted stars like we did in the paper. Yeah.
There are lots of connections. Just give me 1 second and I'll tell you the name.
While Professor recalls the movie, I can assure you that the kid was actually optimizing the telescope problem.
Even the whole thing, like the basketball touching the nose, all of that is going through my head. And I'm just feeling so
it's something that starts with a K.
Of course, it's a Karan Johar movie. That's not a hint. That's not a hint. Right?
So if I have a bad stomach on a weekend, I'd say मुझे कुछ
होता है.
Yes. I mean, we could have had like 5 minutes of you guessing, but our batteries are really old, so we have to get it done quickly. But yeah,
You make sure you cut the part where I'm still guessing.
Yeah, I'll just put it on 2x, or I'll just show my face. But yeah, so coming to movies, you are a movie buff. I think cinephile would be the word. I don't really know. But
so I really love watching movies, but I'm not the person who knows a lot about it. But I love stories essentially.
Yes.
So
and you love getting to the end of it. I've heard that you can't stop a movie in the middle. You have to
I have to know, and I have to share this. One of my close friend from high school remembers this incident very vividly. So there is an exam, and like the way it used to be in the olden times when things will come on Doordarshan, on Sunday there will be a movie that will come. And if there's a power cut, you will miss the ending. So everyone is studying, and I reach there and I say, I missed the ending. Can you tell me the ending? And they all look at me. And the name of the movie was Bol Radha Bol.
Oh,
yeah. So that's the old one.
Yeah. I would have never guessed it in 100 years.
Yeah, but it is all about knowing the ending. I need to know the ending.
Do you remember the ending of Bol Radha Bol?
I'm pretty bad at that as well. But if someone starts the movie, as we will watch it, I will remember it. Yes. But for the life of me, I was very curious. I had to know what the ending was.
So, I share your your opinion on the fact, I think it was back in 2016 at Hyderabad campus that you said that Bollywood changed after 2005.
Yes.
And you mentioned Kabhi Alvida. And I can assure you, so Kabhi Alvida na Kehna came after Kalu Now and K3G. And I was like, Mom and Dad, we gotta go and see this movie. And they were like, no, you are not seeing this movie. And I was like, it's great songs, you know, Mitwa and everything.
Yeah. So everything was good, but for the life of me, I could not put by, like, you have this framework of the movies.
Yeah.
That there are certain things that the movies are allowed to do and certain things they're not allowed to do. This fell in the category that, oh, this is acceptable. Not only that, after that, it just opened up a floodload of movies which said, oh, we would like to capture the reality. But the whole purpose of watching cinema is you're going away from reality, right? If I want the reality, we have relationships which are not working. Which is already, we are in that. So,
I mean, the most unrealistic part about the movie was Shah Rukh Khan playing football, but the relationship part was like still holds. But I mean, apart from the questions that you've already been asked on Salman and Akshay Kumar, I think, and everything, if you had to suggest a recent movie or a TV show that you've watched that really hit at the core of your life philosophy or something, like it affected you beyond that ending, right? It went on with you. So if there is something you'd like to...
this is pretty embarrassing because I love movies, but I don't watch them for the philosophical reasons. So I'm not deep with them.
So you're more of the person who comes back from like work and you just need to relax and let go.
Exactly, it's more of that. So I'm just thinking if I want to say that there is a movie that I... So Drishyam was an interesting one, and I would say that the reason what I liked about Drishyam was it was a very cleverly created content. I'm a big fan of, in general, clever movies, and like a big genre that I would say that I like is, obviously I like slapstick comedy in general, but another category which I look forward to watching is movies which involve some sort of con going on.
Okay.
And
like Hera Fairy, maybe?
Yes, Hera Fairy would be enough. Like Hera Fairy is a combination of the two.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that the other thing which has happened with me, like you're watching something where a con is going on, and you're trying to figure out, okay, what exactly transpired, and you can clearly see like it goes on, and then you know, like, okay, because remember there is also the end constraint of the movies, right? The movies are going to end in 2 hours 15 minutes, which means that the director only has 15 minutes to explain all the open ends, and then it's a big letdown.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing that happens, and so that's why I'm just thinking, I don't think there is a movie which fundamentally changed my thought. But Drishyam has lots of other things which I really, really enjoy.
Like for example, if I may add, towards the end, like the wrapping up part is quite well executed in Drishyam.
Exactly.
But what if I remove the temporal aspect of the question? Any movie like Schindler's List or perhaps something, anything, your favorite movie, top movie, something like that.
Okay, let me...
I don't know why the audience wants to know your movie taste,
absolutely.
but
this is all me because I gave them question of this on the homework.
Yeah, my ears would stand up whenever you dropped a name in the class.
Yeah, some questions I would say Tanu with Manu Part 2, Kangna's depiction of the Haryanvi girl.
Yeah.
Like the way she depicted the two characters was just completely blew me off. Like I could not imagine how the same person can do both the roles with the accent, which was like just means, of course, I don't, because remember, being a Punjabi, when people try to do Punjabi and it's not good, it's horrible. It's like really cringeworthy. Because you're like, oh no, that's not how it's said.
Yeah.
And let me be very clear, I'm from Delhi and my Punjabi is really horrible.
Yeah.
Because people say you don't sound like Punjabi and I completely understand what they mean.
If we had
and in fact, they say you don't sound like from a Delhi person as well, and I understand that as well. To some extent.
I mean, I'll have to see you in a road rage to confirm, but sure. Like
so
sometimes
sorry.
the inner Delhi comes out.
Unfortunately, that doesn't happen. I'm more on the other side. Like, okay.
But yeah.
Oh, did that happen? Okay, fine. You can go ahead if that's what you want. But I'm simply saying that, like, so that is one. I mean, so I really have enjoyed performances. So that will be one which I would say really stood out for me. My all-time favorite movie, without like not about like what you took away from it, like Hera Furi would be very top. Drishyam, obviously, everyone knows about it by now.
You've seen the poster, right? Like,
Yes, I said. Yes, that's exactly why I'm
Yeah.
saying. The other, like one of my like all-time favorite is The Burning Train.
Oh, I loved that movie as a kid. Yeah,
it has a very beautiful song. The whole thing is done extremely well, even before the CGI and all.
Yeah, for the time it was really great.
Beautifully executed. The movie is another name slips my mind, which is Sri Devi's depiction when she like loses all her memory.
I know, Salma. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, that has great songs. Yasudas, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that is another movie which is like, that's a movie where it's a bittersweet ending.
I mean, I'm getting goosebumps. I wasn't happy when it ended, Prof.
Exactly. So the reason is, this is a movie which I watched as a kid. I remember it was late in the night. We were watching and we had like rice, which my sister prepared. So it's the whole thing.
Yeah.
But that ending was like you had to choose one.
Yeah.
You could not have it both ways because you wanted like, oh, her memory should not have faded, but then like it'll be too plain vanilla perhaps for Kamal Hassan to do such a movie.
But then you see Kamal Hassan on the platform and you're like...
and trying to do those...
the actions so that she can... Damn, so I'm actually getting goosebumps, Prof.
Exactly.
I mean.
So that is one movie which was like... That teaches you like how he was very selfless in doing it. So that will be, I think, another movie which is left like, oh wow. And that was beautifully executed. Like it's a simple setup, but a very, very nice movie in mind.
So I'll just turn to the camera and let my audience know that you should watch the Sri Devi movie, and it's a great movie. Plus Hera Fairy and Drishyam is always there.
Yes.
I'll move on to two more questions that are not really related to your field, but then we can move on to more professional questions, so to say. The first is that how, in the name of God, your handwriting so good? Like, is it because you've been teaching for so long and people have been pointing out that, Prof, I cannot understand?
No.
Or is it like since your childhood it was...
So my handwriting is not as good as you think it is, number one.
No, we can have a vote right now with the studio audience, as they say. How many of you think Prof has better handwriting than you? That's a 100% vote rate, Prof. Come on, you can't deny it.
Okay, so a big credit of it goes to... we had holiday homework, so you're supposed to write one whole page of handwriting.
Yeah.
And a big credit goes to my elder sister. She's 10 years older to me, and this is how it used to work. She would not erase if I don't write properly. The page will get torn. So I still remember when I came home, so there's a 10-year age gap. My sister is 10 years older to me. I still remember very distinctly. I come home and my nephew is crying. And I said, what happened? And he says, Mama erased my, like I wrote it like the whole sentence, she just erased it. And I said, you're crying because only one line got erased. We won't have the whole page.
Are you aware of how many pages I've lost?
So that's the thing. Means I think as growing up, handwriting was like a big part of like the class, that you have to have good handwriting. And I think because sometimes it does get sloppy, means as you can see, like, and then I erase it, which I can imagine would be very irritating. I can read it, why are you erasing it? Because it's bugging me.
Like your tears are falling on the paper.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's also the fact that, like, again, the same philosophy, just because I've written it doesn't mean it's done until the person can read it. So it's part of that.
It's like a whole circle, like coming back.
Exactly. It's exactly that. Because this is what I observed. Like something happened, and this was what I was thinking. The fact that someone wants to help someone, the fact that they tried to help them, and the fact that they did help, and the fact that they got the help, all of these are very different. You might feel you helped, but it's not very clear that you really helped or not.
Yes.
So
I'll come back to this eventually towards the end, because there is a question that is related to this. But before that, I'd like to move towards your field of work and the research that you have been doing. An ongoing research in optimization or decision sciences that gets you excited, that maybe you are working on or within the field that really gets you excited.
Sure, absolutely. So here is a question that we're currently working, and my student is presenting as we speak at a conference this week. So there is a question about confidence interval construction, right? So we have all seen that in statistics.
Yes.
So here is a question which is, we do A/B testing, right? So think of a website you're shown, let's suppose Amazon wants to know whether people like to click on dark blue versus light blue. So what will they do? They will basically send the data, and as people are coming in, they will randomly show them dark blue versus light blue and see the click rate through them. And if everything else is kept the same, they will basically attribute that one color has more click through than the other. So the big question then comes is that how do you run this test? So a naive way would be that the traffic comes in, you give 50% of them A and 50% of them you give B. Now notice the following: if the variance, the spread, means in this particular case, this is a Bernoulli trials, but let's imagine I'm not just interested in the click-through, but I'm looking at how many seconds you spend on the website, right? Now you can imagine that some of these will have more variance than the other. So a natural question for you would be, as you want to test it, which one will you test more so that you can have some confidence in that A is better than B? So that's one question.
Yes.
Which is an optimal weightage that you need to give to the test, the fraction of time you will show dark blue versus light blue. And you're learning this on real time, and you're doing in what is called an online experiment, which is as you learn, you decide what you want to do next. But here is another question. You want to know the difference between the two, right? So one is just knowing A is better than B, and the other one is finding the gap between A versus B. Now you can clearly see that these two questions are very related to each other. And on the surface of it, it might even seem that the way you will do your experimentation should be similar. So the research that my student and I are doing on this seems to suggest that that's not true.
Okay.
The optimal design, even though like at a particular point, which is like if everything is symmetric, would be exactly the same. But as you move away, the way you will test these behaves differently. The weightage you will put on one versus the other, in one case will be driven by the variance, and in the other case it can be driven by inverse of the variance.
Okay.
And the question is why, and that's something that we explore.
Okay.
So it's more of a theoretical piece, but it does have implication because A/B testing are used like almost in all the things that we do around ourselves. So that's one of the
Yeah, and I mean, from not the understanding of decision sciences, but generally I've observed that there are two kinds of developments in research. One is like a technical thing, let's say making of a camera, and one is like theoretical physics. So I'm sure that even it's a theoretical piece, but it's definitely gonna probably...
It will hopefully inform how to do A/B testing in practice and how you want to think about this.
And now I'd like to put you maybe in a spot. What and this is again an audience question. It's what is
I love how you're putting everything on the
I'm all the bad questions are I can assure you that I have no distinction between the two questions. It's just no, but like this is definitely an audience question.
Perfectly, I trust you.
I have a few serious ones, but I was hoping I could probably give you a break from the intense questioning, but I think there are no more audience questions, as they say, so I'll just...
No, I'm happy to take them. I was just pulling your leg.
No, I had to actually filter out half of them because they were just fan comments from fans. They weren't questions. They were just appreciating you for all the different aspects of your personality. But going back to the fact, when you talked about that the obligation on a student is at least giving it a try or being curious or like their half of the teaching process. So we did have a question among many people that there seems to be a clear distinction between people who get DMOP and people who just don't get DMOP. Like there's no one in the middle. Like it's either you get it or you don't. Or in a different way, if I would phrase it, there's a perception among the students that people who have not had technical courses, let's say, are from the humanities. I got good marks, okay, I'm from humanities, but
so
I hope I get
non-engineers.
Yeah, so I don't believe in that personally, surely, but there seems to be, I can't put my finger on it, but maybe there is something that you could give to the students in figuring out how DMOP works, like something more fundamental than the concepts that you've taught us, maybe a way of thinking or looking at the subject. So do you think there is something that differentiates people who get it and people who don't?
So I'm a big believer of, so there is a question about nature versus nurture. So this question relates with that. and I am more of the nurture side of the house, so I do not agree with that. I know, and this is more to do with the fact that the time is short, so you might feel it's a nature driving it. But I truly believe, and that's one of the reasons that I do the review sessions and other things, because my view is that you can get it. We just need to work hard together. And if you tell me what is the part you're not getting it, because we can change the explanation. Because when you say you don't get it, it's not like you did not hear me. You want me to give you another story. You want me to give another context. Maybe glasses are not your thing. So maybe I have to make vegetables your thing. And if vegetables are not your thing, maybe traveling from point A to point B might be your thing. So the reasons why it's in my opinion it's nurture is that you can clearly see that we do enjoy riddles in general. I've never seen someone who does not enjoy riddles. Whether it's a math riddle or it's a riddle with wordplay or some sort of riddle, I've seen that. And the fun part there is cracking it.
Yeah.
That I get it. I was able to guess the answer, right? And in my opinion, DMOP in a big part is a riddle.
Yeah.
Right? Because you have to think about, okay, what will be the answer? Why is it happening? And the whole point is like, once you figured out the riddle, you want to deconstruct it and try to understand what was the basic principle. Right? So if you do any riddle, like many of the riddles are formed by the same principle, and then you try to move around them. Like many riddles can be like, if you know one, you know the others.
For example, the Monty Hall problem, you could change the number of the doors, you could probably modify a bit, but if you know how it's done.
Exactly. And that is the goal that I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to teach you math. I'm not trying to teach you calculus. My view is to teach you how to think about things. And that's what the purpose is.
Like, can you really always do something that you like? Like, can you chase your dreams?
Absolutely.
Should you chase your dreams?
I would say absolutely. My view is that, remember, you have to, because my view is very simple on this. As long as whatever you choose keeps your tummy full, that's very important, and pays off your loans. Yeah. Both of these are very, very important. You should do what you would not resent 20 years down the line. Because you don't want to get started with something. And this is where I would say that, yes, we have to be practical about life, but at the same time, if you're really good at it, because your heart is in it, you will learn it. Right? The question is, like, obviously do not, but remember, don't give up on practicality of life. I'm a big believer, like you are. The trade-off that I would make is practical plus something that your heart wants to do. Try to find somewhat that. And just to be very clear, and I'm not saying you need to have a job which you like 100% aspects of it. Absolutely not.
I mean, would you agree, Prof, that I could just rent, like, I am a firm believer in this philosophy, so I'm just putting it out there. I just believe in renting out my brain for 9 hours a day and getting sufficient amounts of money to pay back the loan and everything. And I can seek fulfillment beyond my career. Does that, do you think that's talent lost, or like, I'm not talented, but like generally, yeah.
So my view is that, given how many opportunities are there today, given the fact that like we have just, there is an explosion in my view in terms of what people want to pursue, and the economics of the game has changed completely over the past 25 years in my opinion. In the sense that there were a few professions which were considered, okay, these are the professions, once you get there you're set. And now it's not that narrow set anymore. Like that, the number of professions have grown, which are still like gets you a decent living standard that you aim for. And my view is that you want to think about what you want to do. And the reason is not that if your heart is there, you will do very well, number one. And the second thing is you'll be happy doing it. And I put a lot of premium on being happy.
We have noticed that.
Yes. So and it has to be like the person who is doing the job needs to be happy. But I would say here is the caveat that one needs to be very clear about. I am not saying that you choose a profession where you are like, oh, this is the part that I don't like. Every job has that part.
Yeah.
no one can say that they like waking up at 7 a.m. in the morning and come to work on Mondays. Right? There is always that feeling that it will be great if I could sleep for 30 more minutes.
30 more days.
Oh no, that will be too much. No, because what will happen is, but remember, once you get past a point, let's suppose you sleep in, 2 more hours, at 9 o'clock you will wake up and you want to do something.
Yes.
What is that thing? That could
Like for sure.
yeah,
but
my voice is very calming to put people to sleep.
you'd be surprised, Prof. I've seen people doze off in all the classes, but DMOP must have the lowest sleeping rate of all the classes.
Perfect.
Like sometimes I even play video. No, I said I didn't say that. Not in DMOP.
I have to share, people do crazy things thinking that we don't know it, but that's not true.
Can you look at people's glasses in the class, the reflection, what they're looking at?
Even more. So we
we need to have a few examples of this, before we end.
Yes, absolutely. So if you're on a phone, this is what's happening.
I can see
You're
a few here
looking
on the phone. Yeah.
Down on the floor and smiling. That's a big telltale that you're not listening.
Yeah.
And the other thing that people do is, I actually means this is my naive thing, which is once someone was doing this and I asked what are you doing? And the person said, I have opened up Wikipedia to search something that you just said. And I was going to explain that in a moment.
Yeah.
You don't need Wikipedia.
I'm right here, save your data, ask me questions.
I typically believe that you've paid too much to look at Wikipedia then.
I try to forget about the amount I've paid, Prof.
I never want to bring that up, but it's a funny thing. But I'm simply saying that, remember, the reason we know this is, let's be very clear about it, that when we go to the seminars, where are we sitting? We do the same things.
I agree with you, Prof, but I can assure you that once my marks are out, you'll know that I wasn't playing any games. I was actually playing it. But I don't know about this lot. Yeah. But anyways, I'll just go through my list and see if I have covered everything that we needed to cover. We were like you said, you're always happy, so we did have that in our data, so to say, and we were thinking we'll give you the saddest poem there is, and we'll ask you to read it so that we can see how you look when you look sad. But someone in the production team told me that wouldn't be appropriate, so we skipped it. So that's it, Professor. But before we end, I know raat baki hai, baat baki hai. We can keep on going for 6 hours, but we would end on a special note. We have right here. We have a poem that has been written on the whole course on you and how
thank you so much.
Optimization and everything. Abishek is going to probably read it with the mic.
Okay, so this is for you, Professor, and this is how you have inspired us, and this is for the DMOP course as well. So it goes like this. आप शिक्षक हैं और दीपक भी, हमें राह सही दिखलाते हैं, खोए सोए चेतन में भी DMOP की आग जलाते हैं. जब भी कहते तुम सब आओ हम तान के सीना जाते हैं. इट गोज़ फॉर योर रिव्यू सेशंस एंड एवरीथिंग. जब भी कहते तुम सब आओ हम तान के सीना जाते हैं. जब भी कहते अब सब गाओ हम गीत DMOP के गाते हैं. DMOP हर ओर है नारा. DMOP सब करते हैं. वी सॉ दैट बिफोर द मिड टर्म. सो DMOP हर ओर है नारा. DMOP सब करते हैं. वो पथ जो अंधियारा पहले, कितने दीपक अब जलते हैं. संग आपके हमने कितने क्वेश्चन देखे, क्वेश्चन जीते. संग आपके ही तो उत्सव थे, संग आपके ही तो थे मेले. क्रांति की आग लगाकर यूं आगे आपको अब जाना है. दुनिया के और अंधेरों को शायद कुछ और मिटाना है जो मशाल जलाई खुद में, वो हम ना अब मिटने देंगे. और दुनिया के जटिल सभी प्रश्नों के हम ऑप्टिमाइज्ड ही हल देंगे. Thank you, Professor.
So ladies and gentlemen, that's Professor Achal Bassamboo, and thank you so much for showing up so late, Professor. I'm sure you have a class at 8. I don't. So
I do.
Or maybe wait. No, I don't. Yeah. So
you must have.
No. I think we have done. Yeah, we are done, Prof. It's just you. But thank you so much. Yeah, we can have.